Hi guys, this is Ranjit and let's look at the 2020 year, what these popular smartphone companies did in 2020 and what do I feel about it. And I'll talk about the companies like Samsung, OnePlus, Xiaomi, Realme, Motorola, Nokia, Oppo, Asus and others. And I'm not including every brand that is in India, but about what I'm including covers about 95% of the Indian market. And let's talk about them. And first, let's talk about Samsung. And Samsung in the mid-range, I would say, was still obsessed with their own Exynos SoC. You know that most of their lineup was with the 9611. It's not bad, but I felt the Snapdragon variants were better. Yes, it was not like Samsung did not release any mid-range phones with the Snapdragon. They did, for example, if I recall, the Galaxy M51 and even the A71. And on the flagship range, it was only the Galaxy Fold 2 that came with the Snapdragon. Else, it was Exynos. I would say in the flagships, they stuck to the Exynos 990. Don't get me wrong, it's not a terrible processor, but I felt that the Snapdragon counterpart 865 was better because of some of the heating issues and the battery life issues with the 990. But now Samsung in their 2021 flagship lineup is going to come out with the new Exynos 2100. And just yesterday, some benchmark results were released and it's actually surpassing the new Snapdragon 888. So let's see what they do. But I feel in 2021, Samsung really needs to come up with better mid-range smartphones because the competition is going to heat up quite a bit and we're going to see a lot of 5G smartphones. So let's see what Samsung does. Now if we move to OnePlus, this was a very interesting and a difficult year for OnePlus. If you recall, Carl P, which was one of the founders of OnePlus, in the middle of the year, just one day before the OnePlus 8T's launch, resigned and went away from the company. And I could see that in the OnePlus lineup. They are trying to shake up a lot of things, trying to get into the new market. Like they launched the Nord series, and yes, I like the price point of the Nord, but I won't say it was a great phone. They did compromise on a lot of things, like the entire frame was made up of plastic. Even the cameras were not that great, and 5G just had one band. Fortunately, I like the regular OnePlus 8T this time. We didn't get the 8T Pro, so it'll be interesting to see what OnePlus does in 2021 because now they're trying to launch a lot more devices, and we might see a lot more variants in the mid-range like Nord, etc. In fact, internationally, they did launch a couple of devices. I'm glad that they did not launch those entry-level devices in India because they were not good. But let's see what OnePlus does in 2021 because in 2020 I felt OnePlus Mojo was a little bit on the shaky side, but they are also getting in the accessory lineups like a lot of TWS, etc. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with the 2021 lineup. Yes, we know the OnePlus 9 series will use the latest Snapdragon 888, but I'm looking forward to the new mid-rangers like the new Nord series and etc. What do they do with that? And I hope they don't neglect the camera because the competition is heating up there. So let's now talk about Xiaomi and the Redmi lineup. We know that Xiaomi launched a lot of mid-range smartphones again here in the budget range, etc. But I feel the most important one that particularly stood out to me was the Redmi Note 9 Pro series, and they also had the Max. I don't know why the Max was there, but these were the two that stood out to me. And but I felt Xiaomi had a shaky start here. We all know that ad situation and the tracking that Xiaomi Redmi phones do that I've been talking about a lot of time, and I think so because I'm vocal, I'm banned by Redmi as of now. But Indian government did ban some of their apps like the Mi browser, Mi community, Mi video call. These apps now they are not being bundled with the new phones. But again, I think the Xiaomi should be more careful now regarding their ads and the tracking situation because people are also now a lot more aware. So let's see what do they do. I was saddened to see that the K20 series, the K20 Pro, etc. that were launched last year. We were expecting that the K30 series, K30 Pro, etc. would be launched by Redmi. We did not see that. So let's see if we see some of those, that premium end, Redmi devices in 2021. But I feel in accessories range, Xiaomi became more aggressive. Recently, they launched their new vacuum cleaner, that vacuum robot, power banks, a lot of TWS audio devices devices, a new Mi TV lineup, and even laptops. In fact, this year was their first laptop lineup, and it was actually pretty good for the price. So looks like Xiaomi is now not just concentrating on the smartphone market, but they are trying to get into the other accessories market. And this is a new trend that I'm seeing with a lot of smartphone companies. So now let's talk about Realme, and I would say biggest competitor is the Redmi. And like what Realme did in 2019, launched tons and tons of smartphones. They started the year with that. They launched a lot of devices during the initial part of the year, for example, new Narzo series, etc. But the standout devices for me in the mid-range by Realme were the Realme 7 and the Realme 7 Pro. But from later part of the year, I would say this was a big transformation that I saw with Realme. Instead of launching every month, they used to launch 1 or 2 new smartphones. They started launching a lot more accessories. The second half, they launched new televisions, and in terms of accessories, a lot of TWS, earphones, etc. Even now smart watches. So they're concentrating a lot more on accessories. So it'll be interesting to see what Realme becomes in 2021. I hope they don't totally start neglecting the smartphone game, but let's see what do they do. Now let's also talk about Poco. Yes, I know Poco is similar to Redmi, but they say they now are independent company. And we earlier we saw the Poco X2, and I really like that device in the mid-range. And I would say after testing a ton of devices, still I would say the Poco X2 is my ideal mid-range smartphone pick. Still, I would say. And they also launched the M series, the M2 Pro, etc. And even the Poco X3 was launched, but I still feel the Poco X2 was the best. Regarding Poco, I was also expecting and looking forward to see the Poco F2, but we never saw that in India. Hopefully in 2021 we see that. So I'm having a lot more hopes with the Poco in 2021. Let's see what do they do. Now let's talk about Nokia. And here I'm seeing a lot of change, I would say, from Nokia. Let me just bring that page where I note the notes about it. Yeah. And in smartphones particularly, I would say I did not find huge innovations or some great mid-range smartphones by Nokia. It was not like they didn't launch any mid-range smartphones. They did launch, but nothing actually stood out. That's why in the mid-range market, they were simply not able to capture any market. So that was a little bit saddening. But again, I'm seeing that even Nokia is now changing. And we saw that they launched some TVs, even laptops. They're getting into washing machines and stuff. So this we are seeing a very new Nokia. Let's see what do they do in 2021. Will smartphone become a sideline business, and will they concentrate on other things? Will be interesting move to see. But I hope the Nokia in 2021 releases a decent mid-range smartphone with decent specs, because I feel if they can do that, they have a big market opportunity, because still Nokia does not have that ads and the crap situation. So I feel Nokia is missing a big chunk there. They need to get the specs and the pricing right. Hopefully we see a ideal mid-range smartphone from Nokia in 2021. Keeping my fingers crossed for that. Next, let's talk about Motorola, and this was the biggest surprise to me in 2020. Earlier, if we saw Motorola in 2018, 2019, they're not very aggressive with their smartphones, and the smartphone lineup was simply not that great. But in 2020, especially after the first quarter, especially after second quarter, we started to see some very good smartphones by Motorola, and this was very surprising. What I like with Motorola is that still no ads, no bloatware, or no junk that is there in their smartphone, and the UI is very close to stock Android. So that's across their lineup that I like. And I like some of the smartphones that they launched in the mid-range. For example, that was the Motorola One Fusion Plus. That was a very good mid-range phone. Then they also launched in the budget range, I would say, the Moto G9 and the G9 Power recently. And even they launched a affordable 5G smartphone, that was the Moto G 5G. And I like the fact that Motorola was very transparent about what 5G bands they are using on their 5G smartphones, and I hope other vendors who are launching these 5G smartphones be that much transparent, actually show what actual 5G bands are supported. So I hope that changes in the industry, because in 2021 we are going to get 5G, so brands should be transparent about what 5G bands their smartphones support. And still I like it. The only thing I would have a suggestion to Motorola in 2021 is that if you're pricing your smartphones above that 20,000 psychological price barrier, you should actually give AMOLED screen. That is the only thing that is lacking. But I am surprised, and I like the new mid-range lineup by Motorola, and I just hope they continue this positive trend in 2021. Let's see what do they do. And now let's also talk about Oppo and Vivo. And I would say if a person takes a lot of selfies and stuff, I still feel the Oppo and Vivo smartphones do a great job. And specifically Vivo, some of the last ones what I reviewed, what was that? Vivo V20 Pro 5G. The selfie cameras was just amazing on it. So if you're a person who takes a lot of selfies, post a lot of stuff on Instagram, then I feel these Oppo and Vivo's smartphones, specifically I would say with the front facing camera, do an incredible job. So again, if you are inclined towards that, you'll have a look at it. What I like with Oppo series is that if you look at the flagship smartphones, what they try to do is they try to put cutting edge stuff in that sort of experimental phones, but I have noticed that you see those features trickle down to the future OnePlus devices. So that's why I like to test out the flagship Oppo phones. Let's see what do they do. We're going to see some foldable, stretchable phones, etc. from Oppo. So I'm looking forward to that. What do they do on the higher end cutting edge market innovations? I'm looking forward to that from Oppo. Now let's also talk about Asus, or the lack of Asus in the Indian smartphone market. Yes, they did launch the Asus ROG Phone 3. That is a gaming centric smartphone, and I would say still this year 2020, if you want the best gaming smartphone, that's the one to go for. But again, that's a niche device. Asus completely ignored the mid-range smartphone market. They didn't launch any new Zenfone or even their flagship devices. So I don't know what is Asus doing. Are they abandoning the mid-range smartphone market? Because they didn't even launch one device apart from that ROG Phone 3. So let's see what do they do. So I am also not clear about Asus. Are they just abandoning it, or will they come back with the good mid-range smartphones in 2021? And so guys, these were my thoughts about it. So in 2021, as we know, 5G will become more important, because Jio has said that in the later part of the year in 2021 they will start 5G services. So we should be seeing a lot of smartphones with 5G, and I feel any smartphone around 20,000 or above will have some sort of 5G capabilities. But again, if you're buying a 5G smartphone, again watch this video, check what 5G bands are supported on your handset. So looking forward to that. And the competition is also heating up quite a bit in the mid-range smartphone market in the chipset department. Now we have new 5G chipset from Qualcomm, that is the Snapdragon 750G. 765 is also there, and MediaTek is now going to come out with quite a few new smartphones with the Dimensity 800 series of these are mid-range 5G chipset, and also upper end, slightly upper end, not total flagship, upper end, Dimensity 1000 plus. And again, Exynos on the higher end will come out with the Exynos 2100. That will be used on the Samsung S21 series and the Samsung flagships. And again, we have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 that's there. So it will be a pretty interesting year. So what do you guys think about the same? Your thoughts about particular brand? What did they do right? What did they do wrong? Would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Anyways guys, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and if you guys are still not subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Anyways guys, take care, catch you later.